Hey guys, welcome back to Plunger to Crime. I'm your narrator Diego. Of course, comment down below what country and or city you're watching from. I love to hear from you guys. Alright, let's get on with this video. I was halfway through scrubbing the deep end when I heard somebody shouting over my fence. At first, I thought it was one of those neighbor things, a missing package, a dog loose, somebody mad about noise, but then I looked and saw Mrs. Harlan standing on my pool deck like she owned the ground under my feet. Navy blazer, pressed pants, phone in one hand, the other hand pointed straight at me. She wasn't asking who I was, she was confused. She was already performing. "There he is," she yelled. "He's in the pool, my backyard, my house." I stood there holding the cleaning brush, shirtless, sweat running down my chest, red shorts soaked from the dirty water in the bottom of the drained pool. I said, "Ma'am, this is my house." She laughed, not a real laugh. That sharp little laugh people use when they already decided you're lying. "No," she said. "No, it's not." I blinked at her. The wild part was that she said it with so much confidence, like my deed, my keys, my mortgage, my name on every bill didn't matter because she couldn't picture me owning it. Before I could climb out, the gate flew open. A bald officer stepped into my yard with his hand already near his holster. Not resting, not casual, ready. He looked at Miss Harlan first, not me. She pointed down into the pool like she had found a raccoon in her attic. "He's trespassing," she said. "I told you, I've never seen him here before." That was lie number one. She had seen me plenty. Taking out trash, getting mail, bringing groceries in. She just never looked at me like a homeowner. She looked at me like a mistake. The officer shouted, "Drop the pole." I froze. "It's a pool brush," I said. "Drop it." His voice cracked across the backyard, so I dropped it. The brush clanged against the concrete, echoing inside the empty pool. Miss Harlan smirked. That little smile told me everything. She wasn't scared. She wasn't worried. She was satisfied. The officer had not asked my name, had not asked my ID, had not asked why a so-called burglar would be calmly cleaning algae from the walls in broad daylight. He saw me, then saw her fear, and somehow her fear became the truth. I lifted my hand slowly. "Officer, my wallet is inside the house. My phone is on that chair. I can show you proof." He barked, "Do not move." I stayed still. My bare feet were wet against the pool floor. The sun was hot on my shoulders, and suddenly my own backyard felt like a trap. Miss Harlan folded her arms. "He's getting aggressive," she said. I looked at her like she had slapped me. I had not raised my voice. I had not stepped towards anyone. But there it was, the coldest trick in the book. Call calm black anger dangerous before it even exists. The officer told me to climb out slowly, so I did, step by step, hands visible, trying not to move too fast, trying not to breathe too hard, trying not to become whatever story they had already written for me. When I reached the top, he grabbed my wrist and twisted my arm behind my back. I said, "Why are you touching me?" He said, "Because you're not listening." I almost laughed from how insane that was. I had done everything, he said. That didn't matter. Obedience wasn't enough. They wanted me small. They wanted me grateful for being handled. Miss Harlan started talking faster now. She told him I had been lurking around the neighborhood, that I didn't look familiar, that homes like mine had been targets lately. Every word sounded clean off the surface, but underneath it, I heard what she really meant. "You don't belong here. You don't match this street. You don't match this fence. You don't match this pool." The officer nodded like she was giving a witness statement instead of gossip wrapped in panic. I asked, "Ask her what address she lives at." He didn't, because her comfort mattered more than my facts. Then she said the part that just made my stomach turn. "I just want to protect this neighborhood." The neighborhood. Not my property, not my safety, not the truth, the neighborhood. The word had been used like a weapon against people who had looked like me forever. It meant she got to be brave while I got treated like a threat. It meant she got praised for calling police while I got handcuffed for cleaning my own pool. I looked at the officer and said, "My name is on this house." He said, "We'll figure that out downtown if we have to." Downtown for pool cleaning. The neighbor across the back fence, Mr. Ellis, peeked over. He had watched me move in 6 months earlier. He had borrowed my ladder. He had eaten ribs off my grill. I looked at him, waiting. Just one sentence. That's all it could have taken. "Officer, he lives here." But Mr. Ellis looked down and disappeared behind the fence. That silence hurt worse than Miss Harlan's yelling, because I expected her cruelty. I did not expect cowardice from people who smiled in my face on quiet Saturdays. Sometimes racism is loud. Sometimes it's a neighbor deciding your humiliation is not worth their inconvenience. The officer asked my name while still holding my wrist. I told him. He repeated it like he was testing whether it sounded criminal. Miss Harlan made a face. "That doesn't sound like the owner's name," she said. I turned my head. "How would you know the owner's name?" She went quiet for half a second, not long enough for the officer to care. Then she said, "I saw paperwork once." Another lie. She had never seen anything, but she knew how to sound official. People like her understand power. They don't need the truth when tone does the job. I told the officer again, "My phone is right there. Open it with my face. My property app has the address." He said, "I'm not taking instructions from you." That sentence sat heavy because I wasn't giving instructions. I was giving proof. But proof from me sounded like disrespect to him. Miss Harlan nodded behind him like she was watching justice happen. My chest burned, not from fear anymore, from the insult of it. The officer could have solved everything in 30 seconds. Instead, he chose the version where I stayed controlled, embarrassed, and guilty until proven human. Then he said, "You people always make things harder." Everything went silent. Even Miss Harlan stopped moving. Not because she disagreed, because he had said the quiet part too clearly. I stared at him. "What did you just say?" His jaw tightened. "You heard me." And I did. I heard every traffic stop my father warned me about, every store clerk following me, every woman clutching her purse, every teacher assuming I cheated because I scored too high. It all came rushing in while I stood half dressed in my own yard. He wasn't just angry, he was comfortable. A second neighbor finally came outside, Miss Patel from 2 doors down. Small woman, gray hair, gardening gloves still on. She walked straight towards the gate and said, "Officer, he lives here." Miss Harlan snapped, "You don't know that." Miss Patel looked at her like she was tired in her bones. "I brought him mango pickles when he moved in." The officer looked annoyed, not relieved. That told me everything. An honest person would be glad the problem was solved. He wasn't glad, because now the story was slipping out of his hands, and he didn't like that I might be innocent. Miss Patel kept going. "He owns the house. His name is Malik Bennett. He helped me fix my garage sensor last month." The officer released my wrist, but not with an apology. He let go like I was dirty. Then he said, "Why didn't you say that?" I stared at him. I did. Miss Harlan jumped in. "He could still be renting illegally." There was again the moving goalpost. Owner, renter, trespasser, suspicious, illegal. She didn't need one accusation to stick. She just needed enough dirt in the air to make it look stained. I picked up my phone from the patio chair. The officer told me to move slow, like we were still pretending I was dangerous. I opened my county property records. There it was. My full name, my address, purchase date, everything. Miss Harlan leaned in and squinted. Her mouth tightened. Not shocked, mad. That was the sickest part. She wasn't embarrassed that she called the police on an innocent man. She was angry the proof existed. The officer barely glanced at the screen. Then he said, "Well, you can understand why she was concerned." No, I could not. And I was done pretending. I said, "Concerned about what? A man cleaning his pool?" He didn't answer. Miss Harlan pointed at me again. "See? That tone. That's exactly what I mean." My tone, not her lie, not his hands on his holster, not the fact that I had been wrong one twitch away from becoming a headline nobody apologized for. My tone. The officer said, "Sir, calm down." I looked him dead in the eye. "I am calm. This is what seems to bother both of you." Miss Patel made a small sound behind me, not laughter, more like somebody said it. Then Karma walked in wearing a body camera. The officer must have forgotten it was recording. Miss Harlan must have forgotten too, because when dispatch called his radio, his supervisor asked why the stop had escalated. The officer mumbled something about a suspicious male. Miss Patel said loudly, "He had his hand on his gun before he asked a question." The officer snapped, "Ma'am, step back." But it was too late. Miss Patel had already started recording on her phone, and from the side yard, Mr. Ellis suddenly reappeared, looking pale. Now that someone else had courage, he found his. Mr. Ellis said, "I saw him move in." I looked at him. He could barely meet my eyes. The officer's face changed. Not guilt, calculation. Miss Harlan tried to talk over everybody, but Miss Patel raised her phone and said, "You told me last week you didn't like him bringing down property values." Miss Harlan went white. The officer looked at her. For the first time all day, he looked at her like she might be the problem. She stammered, "That's not what I meant." But people like her always say that when their exact words finally become evidence. The supervisor arrived 10 minutes later, older black woman, Captain Reeves. She stepped into the yard and took one look at me, shirtless, wet, humiliated, standing beside my own pool while a bald officer tried to explain himself into innocence. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. She asked for the body cam, asked for the 911 audio, asked why I had been detained after providing my name. Then she asked Miss Harlan one question. "Did you enter his property without permission?" Miss Harlan opened her mouth. Nothing came out. That silence was the first honest thing she had given all day. By sunset, the officer was placed on leave. Miss Harlan was cited for trespassing and filing a false report. But the real karma came 2 days later. The HOA board got the video. The neighborhood group chat got the video. Her own words about property value got posted right under her smiling profile picture. People stopped waving, stopped inviting her places, stopped pretending she was just protective. As for me, I finished cleaning my pool that weekend. No shirt, red shorts, music loud. And when Miss Harlan peeked through her blinds, I raised my glass. Not friendly, not angry, just free.